Hey everyone, it's Andy Kushner with The Wedding Biz, a podcast that provides both education and inspiration for those of us in or interested in the weddings and event industry. If you missed the last episode, it was a very special one with photographer Marissa Morrison, and we actually didn't focus so much on photography, but rather how she has utilized gratitude and manifestation to bring about her business and personal goals. It was a very special conversation, so check it out if you missed it. So today's guest is Julie Novack, the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate, a premier photo-rich marketplace connecting people planning events with top-tier planners, venues, and vendors. With over 20 years of digital marketing experience, working with some of the world's most renowned brands, Julie has channeled her expertise into transforming the events industry. Since founding PartySlate 9 years ago, over 30,000 of the nation's leading event professionals and venues have showcased over 2.5 million event photos and videos through stunning, content-rich profiles. Today, we discuss PartySlate's new book, Weddings, a Keepsake Planner. And we also talk about what to expect this year from the wedding industry. Enjoy this conversation with Julie Novack. Hey, Julie, congratulations on the publication of the PartySlate book, Weddings, a Keepsake Planner. That is incredible.
Thank you so much. I never would have thought as a digital company we would be coming out with a book. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, well, I was surprised. And then when I got a copy of it, well, I'm about to dig into it on why I think it's really wonderful for not just the industry, but consumers as well. So I see that the iconic planner and designer Mindy Weiss wrote a very nice foreword. And in your introduction, you wrote, quote, PartySlate aims to inspire people planning events and connect them with the best venues, planners, and vendors, unquote. And, you know, Julie, I've had you on the show many times, not only because of your expertise in a large variety of topics, but also because of the really unique way in which you do connect people planning events with venues, planners, and vendors. And so for the sake of anyone who somehow has not heard these interviews or isn't aware of PartySlate, can you briefly explain how you accomplish this mission?
Yes. So I was in the digital agency and tech world for 25 years, and I've always believed in the power of events. And whether it's a social gathering like a milestone birthday or celebrating employees or raising money for mission critical funds like cancer research, I always felt the event had a magical way to get people off their screens and to connect them not only to each other, but to something bigger than themselves and create memories. And as I was planning these events, because I was such a believer in them, I kept looking for inspiration, online because I was a digital person. I was born digital, and I kept finding, kind of some stale wedding blogs or some dated, venue listings. And then I used a website called Houzz, Houzz, to redesign my kitchen. And I felt like lightning struck. I said, I need something like this, photo rich, where I can find the source of every single photo and easy to use, almost a magical experience. I need something like this for events. So I won't say I quit my job that day, but it took me about 4 years of dreaming out loud, creating a business plan, talking to people to finally get the confidence to build a really elevated, beautiful designed website or, a mobile experience as well that makes it easy to find that perfect venue in New York or LA or San Francisco or Chicago or anywhere in the country and one day the world, but also find all of the professionals associated with every single photo, the caterer, the band, the photographer. We really wanted to source and give credit where credit is due to everyone that is involved in creating those magical experiences. So we have over 4 million photos that have been uploaded to PartySlate, over 25,000 profile pages for venues, planners, caterers, etc. And just last week, Andy, we had a breakthrough traffic week, and we're on target to hit about 4 million visitors running the last 12 months.
My God.
Yeah. So we really hit some great milestones for the company. And we are not satisfied. We are always innovating and trying to solve more pain points, both for the event professional community, but also for the consumers, the people that are stressed about their event and, want to find their perfect team and get great ideas. And so that is kind of the mission of PartySlate is we want to help people around the world really celebrate the moments that matter and create lifelong memories. And so that's really what we set out to do every day.
Well, let's discuss some aspects of the book, and then I have some questions about the state of the wedding industry. So, first of all, Julie, I love how the book is laid out, kind of in the form of a workbook. It's very easy to go through. It's easy to utilize. And I've read through it, and it's just incredibly informative. I mean, I can't think of anything you haven't covered. How can it be of benefit in the B2B market and therefore for planners, vendors, and venues? How can this book be best used for them?
Yeah, so I think what I like about the book is I've always said in my many, many years of professional services that great clients get great work. So the more educated your client is, the better client they will be. And I think what we set out to do is give people that are planning events, many of them for the first time, a view of all the decisions and the questions they should be asking and thinking about. And so selfishly, I'd love people to give these as gifts. Again, we've been giving them as gifts to some of our customers, and they've found it really great, and they've been using them with clients. But we know our industry, they know 95% of what's in this book. They might know 100% of what's in this book, but it's almost impossible to teach your client all the things they need to know when planning a large scale event. So what I've always learned in selling value and selling the importance of not skipping steps and not shortcutting is education. And so what we've really done chapter by chapter is break down the complexity of planning a large scale event. And I think you don't need this book for, a baby shower, but you would be surprised how many steps there are to planning a baby shower. But a larger scale event like a wedding is incredibly complicated, as you know, Andy. And so I do think this book can help educate clients on the things they need to be thinking about in advance of all these steps that they need to take over a year and a half of planning. That is one thing I think that's great, but I also think it's authority building. We have over, 400, 500 event professionals featured in this book. And anyone that's featured in any way, whether it's a photographer or a linen company or whatever, they can use it as authority building. I always say make news of news, meaning, featured in best-selling PartySlate Weddings book. You can use any placement in a book, a magazine, of course, articles as authority building. And so that's the other thing we've really encouraged people is, we've sent out badges to people. You can make posts about it. It's just a authority builder for any company that's featured in the book, which there's hundreds.
Well, and I like, a little bit earlier in just now, you were talking about how it helps educate clients so
Yes.
that they can be aware of it saves time for us in the business.
It does save time. And I have never met an event professional that doesn't want a better educated or prepared client. They don't want to hide things. Sometimes we get a bad rap, like, no, we don't have transparency. That is actually the opposite. The thing is, there's thousands and thousands of details. Yes, there probably are some surprises to clients, but if they could be smarter about the rhythm and the type of information you should be prepared to ask or review, I think there's going to be less miscommunication. There's going to be a better understanding of the complexity of planning one of these events, especially like a wedding that is sometimes it's not one event, it's 4 events. And so we've tried to break it down in simple terms that if their client reads this book, they're going to ask better questions. They're going to have a better appreciation of all the work that the planners and the partners need to do. And I think more educated and better questions from clients will equal a better end product and a better relationship.
Well, I want to add, as you know, I'm on the entertainment side of the business.
Course.
Yeah. And when I talk to a client, whether it's a wedding or a corporate or a gala, whatever it is, when I speak to a client who really knows more than the typical person about entertainment, I love it because it allows, well, not only do I skip some education, but that's fine. I mean, I'm happy to educate people, but it allows me to go to a deeper level, and I just simply enjoy it more if they understand,
Yes.
Also, I want to add that at a minimum, this book is a must read for any professional who's new to the industry.
Yes.
Right. So that they can best understand what goes into their role, depending on their vertical in the industry. And so, anyone who's developing their career, they got to get this. That was one of the first things that hit me.
Absolutely. We have written article after article, interviewed, over 100. We've done webinars. So we have so much knowledge in our team, our internal teams, that we packaged all of it. Again, imagine like 9 years of insights and interviews. And I mean, you can relate to this, how many interviews you've done. I mean, you should write a book, packaged up all the learnings.
I know. People have said that to me. I know.
Oh, I mean, yours would be amazing. And also the accompanying audiobook, of course, because you have such a good voice for radio and podcast. Honestly, I feel we are one of the best suited companies to do this because we are working with, the top, let's say 20% of the industry that is so experienced, has so many insights. Sometimes when I talk to like a Mindy or a Preston or a Marcy or, all the people you've interviewed, they have insights and learnings that some people will never have. And to be able to capture those insights and put them into kind of plain language. I like to would my mom understand it if she read it? Plain language without a lot of the jargon. That's what we really tried to do. And it really is tied to our mission of helping people create these lifelong memories and celebrate the moments that matter, because it can be a really stressful experience for engaged couples. And if we could make it half as stressful, dare I say 20% less stressful even, by being smarter about this, it's almost like getting like an MBA in weddings. You can read it in 2 hours. That's what our goal is. And I really feel, I want to give credit to our writers, Pamela, who's our editor, and Lauren, our head of marketing, and Amanda, who runs our social media. They really broke things down in a way that is digestible and not overwhelming at a moment when likely they are overwhelmed. Right when you get engaged, yes, you can be excited and celebrate. And then all of a sudden it hits you that you have, to get a date, and you have to get a place, and you have to think about budget, and you have to think about who to invite and who you have to leave out. It's very hard to plan a large scale event. So my goal is to really, really simplify it and break it down. I always like to say, chunk it down into digestible pieces. And that's what every chapter is.
Yeah. By the way, one of the chapters planners are going to really love, because the opening to the section called Finding Your Planning Partner, you began by stating wedding planners are a must hire. So yes. Planners are going to love that. I've been asked where I gained the inspiration and expertise to host this show, The Wedding Biz, and it all comes from my own experience in the weddings and event industry of creating world-class entertainment to support our custom entertainment design. Kushner Entertainment features outrageously dynamic bands, strings, and a host of other entertainment acts that have won numerous international, national, and local to the Washington, D.C. area awards, not only for individual acts, such as the band Sound Connection, but also for our highly engaging and captivating entertainment design concepts. Go to KushnerEntertainment.com to learn more about the ultimate in event entertainment. That's KushnerEntertainment.com. I also want to ask you, Julie, I particularly loved Chapter 7 called Creating Celebratory Moments. And you began with a key element being the entrance. And to me, that doesn't apply only to the decor, but also, for example, how the entertainment sets the tone,
definitely.
When guests enter and various parts of the venue. And you also get into the issues of dance floors and lighting. You talk about the ceremony, the cocktail hour, of course, the reception itself. But creating celebratory moments, I mean, for those of us in the industry who have been here for a while, that, and from the beginning too, but that's really, to me, the heart of it is you're creating moments, memorable moments.
Yes. And I'm really glad you talked about entertainment because it's all the senses. And I think the visual part, obviously is easier to come through in, PartySlate, but more and more we're seeing people upload videos to PartySlate so that you can have that sense of the music and the feeling and the environment, not just how it looks, and feels. It's all of the senses. And I think sometimes people forget about, when in the evening can you create some surprise and delight, and when better to, when you're welcoming people in, to make them feel like this is going to be a different kind of event. This isn't just your chicken dinner wedding. And I believe it doesn't have to be expensive. You could have a magical guitar player. You could have, some sort of design element that's unexpected. I think it's about creating memories. And, I hate to say it, but for social media, especially for corporate events, it's even more important to create Instagrammable moments. And I'm
Yes,
not talking
yes.
about the bathtub with champagne in it. That's,
Right.
like that's kind of over. But creating something that is, unexpected, but meaningful. And that's really where I admire this industry so much, that I am always, always surprised at, PartySlate events and other events I see, how creative this industry is.
Yeah.
Just when you think you've seen it all, you see something that, you've never seen before. And again, it doesn't have to be $1 million event to have something magical that people remember and takes them out of their day-to-day stress, or you don't know what's going on in their life, to bring a little bit of magic and a little bit of connection with the people that are also experiencing it with them.
Yeah, completely agreed. Beyond the book, I also wonder, have you identified any new trends or have any data-driven event planning insights about this year?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We interviewed Mindy Weiss for one of our last webinars of the year. We had about 2,000 people register, and our editor and Mindy were kind of going back and forth on things they're excited about. One thing I have noticed that I'm sure you have too is people are really thinking differently about florals, and thinking a little bit less about the the structured centerpiece, and being more creative and a little bit more wild and loose and creative on unstructured florals. And we're seeing that not just on the tables, but in you know receptions and ceremony and huppahs. And that's something that Mindy and Pamela called out, that is something different. I started seeing it at things like Engage 3 or 4 years ago, but now it's starting to be more adopted across the board. So my friend's daughter is getting married, and she's kind of traditional, from Texas, and her daughter is in New York and trendy. And she started explaining what her daughter wanted. I'm like, that's a trend. We're seeing more of them. She's like, oh, okay. So it's evolving.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how, as long as this industry has been, well, the industry's been around forever, but in terms of it really taking off, which was, I interviewed many of the, iconic kind of trailblazers,
Yeah.
starting like 8 years ago when I started this podcast. It's amazing how it has, the industry, the wedding industry has, the whole events industry, but in particular, we're talking about the weddings, how they've evolved. And a lot of the time, a lot of the really big planners and designers and photographers that I've interviewed, one of the questions I ask them is, you've been in for so long and you're at such a high level. How do you keep innovating, and how do you keep creating new trends? And it's really interesting, because it's like the challenge is what keeps us as creatives really engaged, is figuring that out for ourselves.
Yeah. Another thing that I think is interesting is, I feel like there's less rules now. So we're seeing a lot of mismatched, place settings and more playfulness. And I think that people they want to stand out. They want to create something that's memorable, and they're less concerned about, I must use these colors and these place settings, and more about creating something different and unique that's memorable.
Yeah. I would say there's no rules,
No
anymore.
rules. Exactly.
Practically.
Yeah.
So before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up that maybe I haven't brought up?
Yeah, I would just say that, one thing that we realized when we created the book is when you want to create a brand building, whether it's a submission to a magazine or a blog entry or a book or a really creative proposal, having full command of your content is something that's more and more important. We believe, content marketing is marketing. The days of kind of like just the print ad or the banner ad are over. I mean, even this podcast, it can be content marketing. So you're creating content that people value. And without our tools that we provide to the industry that PartySlate also leverages for ourselves, we wouldn't have been able to create this book. So we have created an artificial intelligence image recognition technology that allows event professionals to search their own photos for that perfect image. And that's what helped us create this book, because we had full command of our content. And if we can help the industry better be able to search, share, manage their content, we do think they're going to be able to grow their business and grow their brand more efficiently. And so that's just something that was reaffirmed as we wrote the book.
Yeah, that's great. Well, look, as usual, Julie, it's always great to have you. And I urge anyone listening to go search, because you've been on so many times, rather than list out all the episodes, people can go to theweddingbiz.com and in the search field at the top, search your name and find a lot of other topics that we've talked about. And so thank you for coming on again. And I really wish you all the best with this book. It's just wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And Andy, as you know, I'm a big fan of your podcast and the way you interview people and you get the insights. I can only imagine what your book is going to look like after having interviewed the best of the best. So I can't wait for that to come out. Andy.
A little pressure there. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Julie Novack. Be sure to check out her website, which is PartySlate.com. And you can find The Wedding Biz at theweddingbiz.com. And you can follow us on Instagram at The Wedding Biz. And we'll catch you next time.